Greetings, my name is Mark. I'm a self-published author, designer, and marketer. Welcome to Unlimited Story, unlimited-story.com, a channel dedicated to writing, world building, marketing, and most importantly, getting things done. If that's interesting to you, consider hopping on our Discord where we share, critique, and discuss each other's work. Everything you need to know is in the description below or available on our website, unlimited-story.com. In this episode, I'm going to be covering a webinar on Amazon KDP where they talked with Dakota Krout, and it was like mind-blowingly incredible. So if that's why you're here, just stick around because we're going to get into it real quick. All right, let's get started. I am really excited to talk about this webinar because I thought it was incredibly interesting. So it was done by Amazon KDP. There's a gal named Trisha who runs it, and she interviewed Dakota Krout, who is a best-selling lit RPG author. And the whole thing was amazing. If you want to watch it yourself, I put the link in the description. It's an hour long, and it's really good stuff. It goes over some business practices, and it really goes over how Dakota got started, and then what he does in his business today. So it's an interesting journey because he's been doing it sounds like it's only been like 5 years since he wrote his first book and now owns a publishing company. So that seems like a big jump. So either way, I'm going to go over it right now. So the first thing they covered is how Dakota really got started, and basically said that he started writing books because he had a little bit of free time during the day. So he ended up just kind of putting a few things together, and then ultimately he had a couple books done in what sounded like 3 to 6 months, and he essentially had maybe 3 odd hours a day. So that's really interesting, and I had 3 really big key takeaways just from that little bit of information. So my first big takeaway from this story is how Dakota utilized his time. And time is a very powerful resource, and when I discuss with people about writing books or working on creative projects, there is the management of time that comes up, and people tell me they don't have enough time, and I tell them, are you managing your time correctly? Because if you are actually very, very interested, very driven to complete a project, whether it's a book or some other creative endeavor, you will find time. You'll create a calendar event and stick to it and say, I am doing this during this time. And as Arnold Schwarzenegger would say, who I got his poster up there right there, he often says, oh, well, if you don't got enough time, just sleep faster. You can make more time in the day. You just have to sacrifice things. So the second thing I want to mention is that Dakota said that he went back and did his books right. So he completed them, which is, of course, like the most important thing. Like actually finishing is really, really key. But then because he uses the Amazon platform, he's able to, update his books. So as he improved or as he made changes, they got better editing, better covers, whatever the case. He was able to do that much better and produce a better overall product, which I'm sure he's really happy about. But either way, the key takeaway is he finished. You write your books and you complete them, and then you're able to move on from there, because completion is probably one of the hardest steps that you could possibly take. My third big takeaway actually piggybacks off the last one, where essentially over the course of time you're developing a team. And I found this out with my books too. You get people, you get beta readers, you get editors, you get artists, you get other really helpful, useful people who provide you insight. Rome wasn't built in a day, and it wasn't built by a single person, okay? Brandon Sanderson is another great example. He has a team. He actually has people who know his lore potentially better than him and have certain things memorized, and has a database built up. He has a wiki. He has all kinds of stuff to help him do his job better. So do not, if you are a starting creator, okay, do not expect yourself to be able to compete at the same level as these people who have far more resources, time, effort, energy, people, all these things. But of course, it's something to work towards. So as you grow and develop over the course of time, that's how things progress. So the next thing I want to cover is Dakota's transition in mindset from going from just writing as a hobby or something for fun or whatever the case into making it into a business. Now, before I go any further on this subject, I do want to say that I reached out to Mountaindale Press to just be like, hey, is it cool if I go over this webinar and discuss it? And I got an email back right away, which pleased me a lot because I love when people get back to me quickly. My old boss always told me just like, hey, just try to get your emails back to other people in an hour. So to me, that was just tells me a lot about how things work as far as a business. Communication is super key. So I have huge props for that. So one other thing that Dakota mentioned that I really liked was that he discussed how the information he's providing, he hoped that it was able to help other people. And that's really huge to me because that actually follows one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's rules, which I've posted back there about giving back. So that's really great. So now to get back on track, Dakota made a transition from doing this as kind of like a hobby into it's an actual career where you actually are working for money. That is, I guess, your goal overall. And the interesting thing is even Brandon Sanderson does this. He treats his writing like it's work. He dedicates time. He blocks it off. He decides like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. These are my goals. You know, he communicates things. He has a schedule. And that is a huge sign of a professional when you are working at it. You know, it's a goal. You are making clear choices as opposed to just writing something just for fun. And that's fine. You can totally do that. I'm definitely not saying don't write for fun. What I'm saying is it's the difference between just writing and writing to actually be a business, to make this like your thing. So if you are looking at making your creative works your primary source of income, you basically have to look like a business from every possible angle. So, you know, again, your covers, your advertising, everything just needs to be spot on because you are competing with people who are at that level, who do make this their full-time thing. And, you know, just think of it from your buyer's perspective. So if you were buying a book, let's say, and you see something that's got 4.8 stars and it's got 6,000 ratings, and something that's got 4.8 stars and it's only got 50, you know, ratings, like reviews. Which do you think is the better book or is more popular? You know, you got to be thinking about how that is perceived and, you know, who's buying and why. You know, there obviously has to be some type of story, some type of reason and motivation for them to make this purchase. The next thing I'm going to be covering and going to spend the rest of the video on is a specific business method that their company uses called beachheading. Authors, as part of their vetting process, are basically going to be making 3 books, okay? 3 books, 3 titles like in a series or something along that line, which is kind of mind-blowing. But when you think of it from a business perspective, it's actually really good. So for example, you can produce a book and that is awesome. Okay. That's really great. But can you produce a second? Can you produce a third? And now here's the other thing. Getting someone to buy the first book it takes effort. You know, it takes time, effort, and energy to get a customer, okay? To get a customer. And it is absolutely true that creating a new customer is way harder and costs more resources than to maintain a customer. So once they make that initial purchase, it's that much easier to move them on to the next one and the next one. Therefore, if you are able to get someone to make the first purchase and they like a book, okay, they like the story, they are likely to move on to the next one and then to the next one. So let's say you're someone like me who produces a book once every year-ish, okay? Well, that means by the time you finish a book and you maybe want to read the next one, you have to wait another year. A lot can happen in a year. You could, you know, get bored. You could decide you don't like to read anymore. You could move on. You can move on to another series. So it makes a lot of sense that they can be released. Say like, okay, we finished this book and then in a month we're going to come out with this one. And then that month we're going to come out with the next one. So people who like that book be like, okay, I finished this one. Oh, the next one's coming out in a week or two, okay? Or within the month. People can get excited about that. They can stay on that train. In many ways, it's kind of like a series then, you know, like something on a Netflix or a Disney Plus where they can keep, you know, going along and they can stay involved. So I thought that was really, really interesting. It's great for the business. It's great for the reader. It checks a lot of boxes that make sense. So the final thing I want to talk about is Dakota's statement about how the first book isn't really even expected to make money, which totally blew me away. And it also makes sense though why they released 3. So whether it's a new author or a new title or a new genre, whatever the case, you know, it still takes more time to bring people in, to recruit all these people. You know, it has to go through all these systems and so on to get the initial sales. So that first book may not generate enough money to compensate for its existence. But the second and third may be able to compensate because, again, it's not creating a new customer. It's a customer who already exists now. If they like it and it's good, they will continue to keep purchasing. So just it blew me out of the water. It made tons of sense once I heard it, but I really had to think about it, because even the same thing with my own work, the first book, you know, it has to be good. They have to see it at all angles as a professional thing. You know, the cover's got to be right on. You know, description's got to be great. Like, everything has to be good to give all the right signals to a customer or reader, basically, to say, yeah, I'm gonna give this a shot. And then, if they're good with it, if they really enjoy what they experience, then they can go, oh yeah, boom, boom, boom. The other ones sell themselves. There was no hesitation. There's no extra effort, and it made a lot of sense. And I see it all the time, and I'm sure anyone who's got a series is probably in the same boat. So anyway, those are my key takeaways from Trisha at Amazon at KDP and Dakota Krout at Mountaindale Press. I hope you really enjoyed this. If you like this video, please let me know. I'll make more like it. Otherwise, subscribe, or at least watch one of my other videos that YouTube recommends. Thanks so much, and peace.